This is exactly how I would go from working a 9-to-5 job to becoming an independent millionaire entrepreneur in the next year. I went from earning $25,000 a year to becoming a millionaire running a business that was $35 million in revenue. In this video, I'll explain how I would do it much faster and easier if I could go back and start again. So here are 5 steps to go from 9-to-5 employee to thinking, acting, and earning like a millionaire. The first step isn't quitting your 9-to-5 job, it's changing the way you think about wealth and success. When I was 18 years old, my parents wanted me to get a good job at Corvallis, Oregon. But to be honest with you, I knew there was no jobs that I wanted to do there. I wanted to do something big. I wanted to travel. I wanted to go see the world, but I didn't have the skill to do that. And the naysayers, including my parents, my friends, my mentors, my teachers, my football coaches, they're like, Dawson, just suck it up, get a good job. And if you work long enough, you can retire. For me, I wanted to do something entirely different. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia. I traveled 11 states and I learned to take care of myself. And most importantly, I learned to talk to adults, which caused me the ability to become great at sales. Most people, they believe having a good degree or having great sales skills is how you actually become financially successful. The truth is, I was not good in school and I didn't know anything about sales. So what I did learn though is real money doesn't flow to people with a degree. I don't care how fancy it is, and it doesn't flow to great salespeople. Real money, what I learned, flows to problem solvers. To the extent you can figure out how to solve somebody's problem and you have a degree to help you, or you have great communication skills to support you, well, you're just going to make more money. You know what else I learned? Success is not tied to climbing the corporate ladder. It's about actually creating leverage between your time, your ability to communicate, finding something that somebody would be interested in spending money on so you can actually transact and create dollars. Now, I'll tell you why this information is so critical, and I wish I would have known. Now, looking back at the things that made me a millionaire, so I'm going to share them with you. First of all, you got to surround yourself with the right people. You got to read the right books. You got to give yourself the ability to have the right experiences. All that and being successful within that environment and figuring it out is what actually reinforces the millionaire mindset. Try to fill your brain with success stories, things that you can go out and figure out how to do yourself. Because once I learned I can feed myself, I can spend money on things I want to, I can survive, everything from there was upside. How'd I do it? Well, I studied what other high achievers did. I watched the best of the best, and I just learned to model and mimic and eventually master what they did. And that's the first step to becoming a millionaire, is mastering what other people do that's successful. Step 2 is to invest in yourself, specifically by teaching yourself a high-income skill. And there are 3 high-income skills that are the highest potential in 2025. And how did I become an outside sales rep in Atlanta, Georgia? Well, first, I had to be number 1 on the phones. I took a job in Portland, Oregon, selling hearing aids over the phones. And I realized I could sell more than people working full-time, only working 1 day a week. How did I do it? I listened. I noticed they were always selling 1 or 2 per call. So I asked the question, who's the number 1 sales rep doing this job in the country? And my boss told me. And I said, how did they become number 1? And he says, because they never sell 1 to 1, they always sell many to 1. So I paid attention to what that person was doing. And I realized every time he'd get on the phone, he'd ask questions like, if you had more on your inventory or on your shelf, would you sell more? And if you sold more, would you make more money? And people would say, of course, and say, great, I'll ship them out too. Do 10 instead of 2. That was the hack. Sell more to more people. I became a top salesperson working 1 day a week, competing against people working 5 days a week. That got me known. And then I was offered the job as an outside sales rep in Atlanta, Georgia. Trust me, you can make 6 figures or more working a 9-to-5 job if you just understand the hacks. How do you become successful? We have to focus on a few things. First, promotion. You have to learn how to sell. Now, people use sales differently. I like to say promotion. Promote what you do, promote who you do it for, promote why you do it, promote your value proposition. Like, go out there and communicate about what makes you excited so you can be good at talking about what you do. And that really is marketing. And then when you grab attention, sell something to somebody. And you know what happens? is eventually you become a strong me leader because people are like, man, that person always gets things done. That person's fast, efficient, effective. That person can solve problems and know how to generate money. And you know what that does? It gives you the skills to allow you to control your earning potential. Most people gravitate to the average. Position yourself to always gravitate to being at the top. Make more calls. Be smarter how you make the calls. Work on your communication skills. Be more effective. Learn to ask the right questions. Be respectful. Don't be afraid to take massive action. There's no rules in business as long as it's legal, moral, ethical, and compliant. Do what you have to do to be number one, and somebody will notice it, and that's when everything changes. Next up is step number 3, which is to work outside the lines and stop wasting your 5 to 9. You know what I did? I made sure everywhere I went, it could be a trade show, it could be a town I'm pulling into, it could be in a convention, it could be anything. You know what I did? I made sure I got as many contacts and as many phone numbers as I could. I used to carry my book around. Now we're talking about the 80s, okay? I used to carry my book around and I'd write down their name, what they said they did, where they lived, what their phone number was. You know why? Because the more names I could put in that book, the more networking I've been able to do, which then, even if they don't do something with me, they always know someone in a town I'm in. I got referrals, I got recommendations. Most importantly, I went on a mission to collect people's names. The more people that knew me, the more people would do business with me. Once I mastered that, I realized no one else in my company was doing it from a leadership standpoint. So I started teaching the other reps to do exactly what I did. I would show them, I would sit and train them. One day my boss saw that and he said, "What are you doing?" And I explained, and he said, "You know what? All of our salespeople need to learn to do this." I was the youngest salesperson on the team, making the most amount of money, and they gave me a leadership position within the company. I volunteered at the company I worked at for all their weekend meetings. They used to run events and trainings on a Saturday and Sunday. I always made sure I was there. Why? Contacts. I wanted to meet as many people as possible. Plus, when the customers were there, I'd ask them why they do business with us, what would make them do more business, and I learned through relationships and asking questions how I could help other people make more money. Then I proved it by making more money than others. I became the #1 salesperson, making $150,000 a year at 22 years old. You want to make more money? Develop your skills, show others how to do it, and get noticed. The exercise was simple for me. I calculated how much time a day I wanted to spend with my family or do things I wanted to do, and the rest of that time, I had one thought. How do I maximize every single moment, either through a phone call, getting a lead, calling somebody I just did business with and say, "Did you tell anybody I did business with you? And did they say, gee, I need to do that too? If so, can I get their number and I'll call them too?" Like, I used every single moment to maximize my energy, my effort, and my attention on the things that I learned was the most effective at making money. And then I just exhibited that behavior until my boss noticed it through my results. You want to get your attention at work? Get the results. Be #1 wherever you're at and watch how fast people, attention, and money flow to you. And here's the deal. That ended up being my personal competitive advantage. I could outperform anybody else, and I was always willing to teach others how to do it too. How did I do all this? Well, I used extra time to learn new skills. When I went in on the weekends, I didn't even have permission to sell anybody, but I watched the best salespeople early on and how they communicated, how they sold, what they talked about, the questions they asked, and I would go role play with myself in front of a video camera until I felt I was good. Then one day, somebody didn't show up on the weekend. I started talking to a customer. I closed the deal. Then they said, "Hey, anytime you're available, we could use a little help." You got to know the job. Not only did I know the job, I outsold everybody there because I paid attention for a year. You know what that did? They made me a full-time person, and I outperformed the team that was there. 3 years later, I became the sales manager over 29 people doing that job because I watched the best of the best, and then I asked the question, how do I be better than them? Step number 4, the biggest mistake I've seen thousands of people do in my career, quitting the job too soon. I worked the same job for 4 years. Why? Because I wanted to master the job I was doing. But while I was working my job, I was studying everybody else's job. I spent a lot of time trying to understand why my boss did what he did, how my boss did what he did, what I thought he did well, what I thought he didn't do well. And what I noticed is the things he didn't do well. I found somebody else in the company that was an equivalent position to this guy who was unbelievable. And you know what I did? I studied what he did well. I learned what he did well and what somebody else did well, and I put it together. And at 24, I got noticed. When they gave me a 29-person sales team, I immediately eliminated 10 people that were not doing anything well. That definitely got everybody's attention because we increased performance in that group 5-1. So at 25 years old, they made me the director of U.S. sales, overseeing all inside sales around the country. This is how I went from my income of $25,000 a year to over $200,000 a year before I left that job to go get my first $1 million a year. Creating value takes time. The number one asset that you should understand you need when you want to become remarkable is patience. The longer you can put into from where you're at to where you want to be by studying the absolute best doing it and then doing it, the faster you'll become successful. Most young people are not patient enough to be recognized for their success. They literally come into the position wanting the best title, wanting the best money, wanting to be recognized. But the truth is, the longer you can go not asking for any of that, but outperforming the people around you. It's like reverse psychology. It's another hack. When your bosses recognize that you're always overperforming and you're asking for nothing, and then they see you willing to train others to do what you do to get the results you get, your bosses sit back and think to themselves, you know what? That's a high quality for a leader. Willing to never ask for anything, always overperform and share with others. If you just get this hack down, one day you're going to have the greatest position in a business that you're going to make so much money because you'll understand what success, what results, and what leadership looks like. And once somebody sees you know that, they're going to want you to be that. That brings us to the last step, number 5. You have to challenge yourself. I learned something in Atlanta, and then I reinforced it in Minnesota. Success over a long period of time builds confidence. Builds confidence in yourself, builds confidence in the people that are being trained by you, builds confidence in the people that you're accountable to, business owners or bosses. And the more confidence you have, the more opportunities you create for you. For me, this allowed me to quit my job at 26 years old and make the move into becoming an entrepreneur. If I had not had that confidence of success, I would have never done it. I was making too much money. I was willing to trade the money because of my high level of confidence to go out and do the thing I always dreamed of doing. By starting that company at 27 years old, that allowed me by the age of 30 to become a multimillionaire. And that company was worth $75 million. Here's the fact. You have to build the skills first before going out on your own. Because if you don't have the confidence and the people around you don't have the confidence, you can't present that confidence. So why would anybody trust or lean in or invest in you? If you don't believe in you and you don't have a consistent track record, nobody else is going to believe in you either. Once you have the confidence and you develop the skills and you become a high income earner and you learn to transfer that skill set to other people, you can now take the leap for yourself. This is how you multiply your skill set through others. This is ultimately the hack. You have to learn to do it. You have to learn to develop others to do it. You have to build confidence for yourself, those around you, and those that might invest in you over a long period of time with a great track record. And then guess what you can do? You can take the leap from you to others. Multiplying your success through others by leading and teaching them is how you go on to make millions, but not just for you, for the people who do what you taught them to do, which is what you did. So how did I do it? How did I go from being a kid from Corvallis, Oregon, barely getting out of high school, to being an individual that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars over 35 years? I did it by focusing on executing better than other people, developing my skills in communication, putting myself in uncomfortable situations, being patient over a long period of time to become number one, and then realizing if I taught others to do it. Not that they would listen, but if I was willing to teach others to do it, I would get recognized. Once I got recognized, I ended up getting promoted. When I got promoted, I started making a lot more money. The ability to have the confidence to see something, take action, get results, make money doing it, teach others to do it, position me to build a multi-$100 million net worth. And if I can do it, I know you can do it. All you need to do is subscribe to my channel, and I'll teach you through videos like this how to do exactly what I did to get to where I'm at. I'm doing this for you because this is what other people did for me. This is my opportunity to give to you. It's going to be your choice, though, if you want to watch it.